Hello everybody, Carole Garrison with Carole's Creative Escape. It is Monday, December 4th. Oh, looks like I've got bad bang days here. Oh well, Monday, December 4th, and I thank you for taking the time to join me today. I am here to share with you a card that I wasn't quite sure what it was going to end up being here tonight. I actually had a couple different designs and ended up going with something completely different, kind of at the last minute. So we'll see how this works tonight. It's a little bit different than what I've normally done, but I think you're going to find that it'll work real well, especially if you need to mass produce some Christmas cards here at the last minute. I'm showing you a different example, but it'll work fine for Christmas paper or any other designer paper that you've got. My name's Carole Garrison. I am from White Bear Lake, Minnesota. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining in. And I have been making cards for well over 30 years, but working, excuse me, primarily with Stampin' Up products for about 10 and a half years. And tonight, the cards that I'm going to share with you are using the translucent floral stamps as well as the delightful floral paper. So, hi Donna, thanks for joining. Hope everybody had a good week. We kind of had actually a little bit more mellow weekend than we thought we were going to have initially. Have most of our Christmas shopping done, and I think that's the earliest I've ever had that done. I've got a big cookie exchange that's supposed to be happening this weekend, so I need to get going on Christmas cookies. Got a cat jumping around in the background. That would be Miss Zelda. And I won't be surprised tonight if she joins us here on my stamping table because she's been kind of in everything. Anyhow, but a fairly mellow weekend. Got to get some stuff done around the house and that sort of thing. Had a nice dinner with my brother-in-law and his wife. And yeah, we didn't do anything super exciting, but anyhow, hi Lynn, thanks for joining in tonight. I think I'm going to just jump right into my card. The card that I'm going to show you tonight, we're actually going to be making 4 different cards using this technique, and that's why I think it's going to work really well to be able to mass produce this for Christmas. Sorry, I'm a little distracted with the cat. She just now knocked over the wastebasket, but I was one step ahead of her. I actually have already emptied the wastebasket, so there's nothing to get right now. I am going to flip you guys over. You can see hopefully not see too much of my messy desk. And let me get a little bit of workspace going here. So tomorrow's kind of a big day. If you are a Stampin' Up demonstrator, we get to start doing some pre-orders from the new mini catalog that's coming out. Excuse me. I've had a chance to see some of it, not in person because I did not go to the event where normally you would get to see that kind of stuff. But I'm just looking for where I'm live out here in Carole's Creative Escape, and I'm not seeing it on my Facebook page, but I must be out there because otherwise I don't think you would be seeing me. Anyhow, so I'm going to kind of be ordering stuff just a little bit blind, and we'll sort of see what happens with it. So let me just, I'm not sure why it's not showing up on my other page. I'm not going to be able to see comments while I'm stamping, but just know I'll go back and catch up with them. So again, I am using the designer paper from the Delightful Floral designer series paper. This is one that is available as an online exclusive, and it coordinates with the translucent floral stamp set, which is also an online exclusive. Nope, actually translucent florals, I'm sorry, is in the catalog. It's just the designer series paper that is in the online exclusives. And today we are going to make 4 cards. I am going to be focusing on Peacock, Pretty Peacock, and Berry Burst, Calypso Coral, and Fresh Freesia is the other color that I'm using to make my cards. So I am going to share with you measurements on how to make this card. And this is actually an idea in terms of the cuts and measurements that I'm using is from Chat and Craft with Lorraine. And I will show you what needs to get done. The first thing, actually, before I bring this on, let me just share with you. You're going to need 4 pieces of cardstock that'll coordinate with your paper. Like I said, I'm using Berry Burst, Pretty Peacock, Fresh Freesia, and Calypso Coral. These all measure 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I've got 4 pieces of basic white cardstock that measure 4 by 5 1/4. That's just going to go on the inside of my card. Really bothers me not being able to see what I'm doing, because that's one of the things I do to help stay focused, make sure I'm on camera. So I'm going to do my best tonight to make sure that that's happening. But if I am not, there it is. Whew, I found it. Good. If I'm not, just say something out loud. Anyhow, I've also taken scraps. I'm using the double oval punch. So I've taken scraps in those same colors to create that. And then I've got 4 pieces of basic white cardstock that I've punched out using the oval in this set. I like these just because they coordinate so nicely. So I've got these 2 pieces right here. And then I'm going to be using the coordinating stamp pads to go with my colors as well. And I think I'm going to throw some ribbon on as I get making these cards. So the first thing that I'm going to do is some stamping, simply because I do like to make sure that I've given my ink plenty of time to dry. So I've got my Simply Chamois here that I'm going to be drying stuff off, wiping stuff off with. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do 1 set each of the colors that I'm using. Hey Terry, hey Pam, thanks for joining in. That way I can kind of use the ink and then get it put away. So there's Happy Birthday and Fresh Freesia, and here comes the cat. Until I need her out of the way, I think I may just let her wander around a little bit. And on the inside, I'm using the sentiment, wishing you all the happiness in the world. And I'm going to make these cards all the same. I think I've mentioned before, one of the things I have started doing is making birthday cards for everybody at work that we distribute on their birthday. And it was kind of nice because it gave me an opportunity to use up many of the cards that I've had sitting here. But at the same time, I've had to create a few cards too. And it's nice to be able to create with a very specific purpose in mind. And so I am almost out of birthday cards now and need to get some more made. So today I am doing the exact same card and sentiments for each of the cards that I'm making, simply because that's how I'm going to be using them. So there we go with Berry Burst on the ink color. And then we've got a little pretty peacock here. I really like the simplicity of this. Both the font and just the sentiment. Wishing you all the happiness in the world. Combine that with a little happy birthday, and I think you've got a good basic card. Because of the paper I'm using, these aren't going to be necessarily masculine cards, but the stamp would certainly be applicable, the sentiment, to males or females. I think as you're going through. You can hear my chamois squeaking a little bit. I think I need to add some moisture to it, but I'm not going to take time during this video. There we go. So we had a couple days of cold weather here in Minnesota, and now it's warmed back up again. They're even talking some good warm temps for this time of year anyhow in the coming weeks. So I'm kind of excited. It doesn't always help you get into the Christmas spirit when you don't have the snow flying around and everything, but the older I get, the more okay I am with not always having snow on the ground every time we have a Christmas holiday. If it could just snow on Christmas and then be done with it, I think I'd be okay, but I usually don't get that lucky. Okay, so now, sorry, I'm grabbing a little bit of water. The next piece of magic for this card is having 4 pieces of coordinating designer series paper. And these are the 4 patterns that I've chosen to use. A small floral, a medium-sized floral, the leaves, and then just a solid background piece. So each of these measures 4 by 5 1/4. This next step, what's really important to make this work, is to trim all of the pieces at one time. So I've got 4 layers of designer series paper here, and we need to make just a couple of cuts. The very first cut that we're going to make will be at 2 3/4 inches. So again, I'm laying down all of my designer paper, having it lined up so that it's all in the right spot. And I'm going to make my first cut. Because I am cutting through 4 pieces of paper, I will be pressing down hard in the hopes to get through, and then I'm just going to swing it back one more time, and that worked. All right, so now we've got this piece, and the next cut that I'm going to make, again keeping all 4 of these pieces together, is at the 3-inch mark. So I'll just line it up on my cutter, and again I'm going to run it through, and then I'm going to come back to this stack of paper, and this piece I'm going to cut at 2 inches. And so when I'm all done, I've got 4 different piles of paper. And my layout's going to kind of be like this. So this was the one that's 2 3/4 by 3, and this is 2 inches by whatever. 4 minus 2 3/4, what is that, 1 1/4 is that, so 2 inches by 1 1/4. And then this is 1 1/4 inches wide and 3 1/4 inches long, and this would be 2 1/4 inches long by 2 3/4 inches. And then all we're going to do is sort these out so that I have one of each pattern in my card. All right, so we'll have this square, this square, this square, and this square. And then we just have to figure out how we're going to rotate it so that each card ends up with a different piece of paper. And so I'm just going to start kind of at the opposite side, and I'll have this square, this square, this square, and this square. And then I've got these pieces, and so I need to have one of these here, one of those there. We'll put this one here, and I'll put this piece here. All I'm trying to do is make sure I've got 4 different patterns on each card. So this last piece will actually be pretty easy. We'll go like this, and like this. And now we're just going to create these cards. But the fun part about what we're going to do with this is we can actually change up the layout for each card. We're just going to use these 4 pieces. So I could have one going this direction. I can have one going like this. We could have another one that went like this, for example. And then we could completely rotate this one around so that it goes something like that. So same layout, we'll have 2 that go horizontal, 2 that go portrait, and we're all using the same paper, but the layouts are going to be different on each and every one of them. So let me bring back in, I'm going to set those little pieces aside. We're going to bring in our cardstock, and I'm just going to fold this on the score line and then bring in my bone folder. Whoops. So that I get a good crisp edge that I can burnish in. Oh, that's not very straight, is it? I don't know why that happens every once in a while. Fortunately, it's pretty easy to fix. You can kind of finger press in something. I just don't like that whole piece of paper. That's kind of crooked. We're going to start that one over. I was working with a scrap that I thought was straight edges, but I think Based on what I'm just now seeing, I don't think it was quite as straight as it initially looked. So again, I'm just going to take a piece of cardstock that's 5.5 by 8.5, and we'll score it at oh, excuse me. Excuse me again. We'll score it at 4 1/4, and we'll be right back where we started from. All's good. It's been a while, I think, since I've had a really bad mismeasurement. All right, so now I'm just going to fold this over. I'll bring my bone folder in, get a nice crisp edge on it, and keep repeating this process. Kind of had a nice surprise tonight. My daughter actually ended up without hot water at her apartment for a couple days for some reason. So she came here after work tonight just so she could shower. So I got to have dinner with her tonight. That was kind of fun. All right. I'll keep my pieces just sort of laid out so that I get it. Let's go ahead and we'll start with our piece of Fairy Burst cardstock. And we're going to put a piece here, a piece here. It's always kind of a gamble when you decide that you're going to try a whole different layout that you've never done before and hope that it all works. But I think it's going to. So we're going to go ahead and add adhesive to the back of the designer series paper. And remember, with this adhesive, a light touch is very helpful. It kind of keeps things from gumming up on the dispenser. So we'll put that piece here, and then we're going to bring in this piece. And you could use all patterns. I kind of felt like I wanted to have just a little bit of a break in the patterns because some of these were kind of busy. But if you wanted to use all 4 pieces as a pattern piece and they coordinated, there's no problem. There's no reason you can't do that. This is just what I thought would look good. That's the beauty of making cards. You can take somebody else's idea and make it your own, all by how you implement the final design of it. And that's one of the things I love, is we can all, you know, like I said, work with the same pieces of cardstock and then end up with 4 very different cards. Yep, that was a piece of green that I needed. And now we'll just add that piece there. So here's one of the cards. And then we'll take this card, and this time we're going to make it horizontal. And so I'm going to add adhesive to the back of this card. And we'll put this one in the corner. And I'm using pretty narrow borders. If you can, you know, see, it's kind of 1/8 of an inch on the border piece. It could probably be a little bit more generous than that because you can see my gap here is going to be a little bit bigger. But I'm going to be covering part of this up with my sentiment, so it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. We just place our sentiment where we need to cover up some of that gap and we'll be good. All right, so here's the next piece of paper that's going to go on here, and then my solid strip is this larger rectangle for this card. And we're going to add that here. And like I said, this is a great card if you've got kind of bits and pieces of scraps. You wouldn't even have to necessarily do a card shuffle. You could use these measurements just to get pieces of designer paper that you could put together, you know, and just duplicate the layout however you wanted. So there's card number 2. All right. And then we're going to come in with our Calypso Coral. And how did I have this one set up? I think this one was going to go, this was going to be horizontal again. It's going to go like this more. Because that piece will go like that. Okay? And so what if I have some that are all the same layout too? Only one person's going to get the card, so they'll never know that I duplicated the layout, right? But I think you can already tell how close or how easy this would be to make a bunch of Christmas cards this way. You could quickly prep them and then just go through and assemble by pieces. As long as the paper was all in different order, you could even stack your paper up and just grab the different pieces as you were working your way through the cards. I just chose to sort mine since I'm only making 4 cards. Kind of like that because where these stems come out, or these little whatever they are, it sort of lines up on that other piece of paper. And then this next piece is going to be my Fresh Freesia solid color. I've never done this layout before. I've never tried this particular shuffle stack card, but I'm liking it. All right, there's my 3rd card. And then here's my 4th card, and we're going to make this one vertical once again. So we're going to have this piece of Fresh Freesia. I really like these larger flowers, but I think it would overwhelm the card. They're just a little bit bigger than the rest of the paper that I'm using. So we'll put this piece here. So like I said, now tomorrow we get to start pre-ordering. One of the things I'm really excited about is there is a glass, you know what, I think I put that piece on in the wrong direction. There's a glass, it's a tempered glass piece that has grid marks on it and measuring, so you can measure things out easily. And it is heat resistant and scratch resistant, and you just clean it with water. It does come with a special cleaning cloth, and it is actually something you can choose if you join Stampin' Up! Starting in January during celebration. But as a demonstrator, I'm able to pre-order it now, and I have actually been thinking about trying to find something like that, so I think it's meant to be, since we're coming out with something too. It's going to be available in limited quantities during this pre-order time, so after a certain number they won't be selling anymore, because we want to make sure that we've got them in stock for customers too. So I'm hoping that I'm able to get one when I place my order tomorrow. And then I have a fun stamp set picked out as well. I'm going to hopefully be participating in a catalog premiere. I haven't done anything like that for a while, but I've got a stamp set that I've signed up to demonstrate, and am looking forward to getting that ordered and do a little bit of creativity with it, just to see what I can come up with. Otherwise, I'm not going to order a whole lot right at the beginning, just what I need to use to get ready for the premiere package thingy that I'm working on. And then we'll see what January brings and what I feel like. There's some really pretty papers and stamp sets in this catalog, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But I gotta, especially at this time of year, watch my budget too, just like probably the rest of us, huh? I don't think I'm alone in that. Okay. So now I've got all of my sentiments stacked up. I have lots of tape on my fingers too, it feels like. And you know what I just thought of? When I stamped my inside sentiment, I didn't take into account the direction my card was going. No big deal, because I have 2 sides. So I'm going to get my stamp out here again, and I need one in Calypso Coral. Sometimes that's the drawback to stamping ahead of time, because you don't always think through the direction that this inside piece needs to go. Oh, and I smooshed up that W. All right, no problem. I can get one of my pre-cut pieces. I always keep an old stamp case that just has a bunch of very vanilla and basic white cardstock cut, just so that I don't have to stop and do that every time I need an inside piece, because I almost always will put an inside piece on my card. Now, when it's a lighter color, Carole is having a hard time stamping tonight. When the cardstock you're using is a lighter color, you don't necessarily have to put another piece of cardstock on the inside. I oftentimes will still do it just to add a little stability to my card. But if it is a lighter color like this color, you could actually use the same color and just cut it a little bit smaller so you create a layer. And that way you're still getting a little bit more durability or support to the card, but you don't have that blaring white piece right in the middle. I've done that on occasion as well. All right, one last stamp. Tonight I've got a really bad glare coming down on my stamp, so I can't always see where I'm going with it when I'm stamping. That's why it looks like it's taking me a long time to figure out how I'm going to stamp. Okay, so now let's go ahead and attach to the inside of our cards. Light touch, the check mark, light touch. Somebody once commented how often I say that during a video, and honestly, it really is more for me than for you. When things don't quite go right and I get flustered, you may not always see it, but you can usually tell if I'm having problems with my tape dispenser, because that's a sign I'm pressing down too hard. So there's your little clue into my world. I try not to let it show on camera, because you know what, when we're stamping, we all will make mistakes. And every once in a while I'll get kind of funny spots that I think is adhesive. I'm never sure, but I'll take my little eraser here and just pull it up, and a lot of times it'll just lift those little dark spots up. You can get this, we don't sell these anymore, but you can get them at any craft store, and I do highly recommend, if you don't have one of these, to consider getting one, just because it is a very handy thing to have if you've gotten a little heavy with your adhesives. One piece right there that my card keeps sticking to. I think I need to come through and clean this piece. All right. And last but not least, okay, so the inside of our card's done. I'm gonna get one little corner that's kind of bent up here. Let's get a little bit of adhesive just to hold it down. So now here are the 4 different layouts that we've got for this card. What do you think about it? You like that layout? Kind of just the differences that come with it. And now we just need to put on here our different sentiments. So I think I'm going to put that one right there. And I am, just to add a little pop, going to put this up on dimensionals. You don't have to, but I'm choosing to do so. And we're just going to kind of cover where those pieces come together. And then for the berry burst, make sure I'm doing this part the right way. Maybe we could put that one right up here so it covers up some of that solid piece. And again, if you were really creative or had more time than what I had to get ready tonight, you could do these each in different shapes, different sentiments. Totally up to you how you want to handle that. I kind of went just for simplicity tonight because, as I mentioned at the beginning, I actually was trying to design a treat holder and I couldn't quite get the measurements right to be comfortable enough to share that yet. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to try to do this other layout with a bunch of scrap paper. And again, it wasn't working for me. So I thought, all right, I got to come up with something. So that one we'll put there, and then this one we'll put in here. And I've got a couple different types of ribbon out. So I think on one of the cards we'll just create a bow. This is with the sheer ribbon, and it's the silver and white ribbon. You've seen me use this quite a bit. Little secret why I'm doing quite a bit is I accidentally ordered more than I needed in one of my orders, and so I have some I need to use up. Anybody ever done that before? Either had too much in their cart and didn't realize the quantity had gotten adjusted, or ordered something and then ordered it again in another order. Gets frustrating, but we can always find a use for it, can't we? And I do like this ribbon. It ties, as you can see, I was able to tie a bow online here without a problem. I can't always do that. And then this is the white glittered organdy ribbon. This is no longer in the annual catalog, but it does still appear as an online exclusive. So if this is a ribbon that you like and you were sad that it wasn't in the catalog, make sure that you check out the online exclusives, because that's where you're going to find this. And it is still available. And again, this is kind of a stiffer ribbon, which makes for a good bow most of the time. It holds its shape very nicely. Does anybody that's watching this video play pickleball? My husband and I are taking a class through our community ed to learn the ins and outs of pickleball. And then we've got a pretty active pickleball group in our community. So I think we'll join that just as a way to do something different and get out of the house, especially in the winter months. But boy, it's a confusing game to score. I'm hoping that part gets easier as we play it a little bit more. All right, and then I think on a couple of the cards, I'm just going to add some sequins to it, or some kind of embellishment. So let's do, I think this card needs a little more pop, so we're going to put a bow there, and then we'll put a bow down here on that one, and we'll do some type of embellishment sequin-wise with these. So let's go ahead and get these attached. I'm just going to grab a glue dot here. Whoops. It doesn't want to come off my paper there. All right, so now we've got just a little bow here. We'll add a glue dot to this one. I like that silver on this card just because it kind of makes everything else pop out a little bit. And then let me grab I might just do, I think, rhinestones on one, and then we'll do some pearls on the other. And that way we've got just a little bit of flexibility with everything. So we'll start with rhinestones, and I think I will do the rhinestones on this card. Ooh, you know what? I could do those iridescent rhinestones. Let's do that. There's so many colors, and they look nice with this Calypso coral, I think. And you know, whenever I put rhinestones on cards, I usually put 3. There's no rule that says you have to do that, but for me, somehow, it just seems to work. So there's that card with a little bit of rhinestone on it. And then let's see what we can do for some pearls. Loki, here. My dog is downstairs with me tonight, and he's been having a tough day today, so we're trying to keep him out of trouble. Loki, come here. So these are some blooming pearls, they're called, and they are in, I want to say, let me double check if it's this catalog. I want to say it's actually the annual catalog, but nope, it is actually in the mini catalog. So they're called Blooming Pearls, and they're on page 53, and you get the 4 different colors. They're kind of iridescent gold flakes in them a little bit. I don't know if you can see those against the white, but there's a little bit of shimmer to them. So let's go ahead. This color happens to be, in my mind, kind of a peacock blue or peacock green sort of a color. So I'm going to grab a couple of those, and thinking I'm just going to do another small one. You can see I changed my mind a couple times. And we'll just sort of put it down there just to add a little pop to the card. Nothing fancier than that, but how nice to have a pretty peacock kind of color. So now we are done with our 4 cards using that card shuffle layout. And we do end up with 4 unique cards using that. Again, it'll work with just about any designer series paper. You could have 4 different patterns. You could do a solid color, slightly solid. It'll really work out nicely, but how cool is that to get 4 different layouts using the same exact pieces of paper, just putting them on your card different or changing up the color. I really like that. So again, just to repeat the measurements for this card, for the designer paper, you would stack all 4 pieces together, and it's the designer paper itself measures 4 by 5 1/4. And the first piece you would cut in 2 3/4 inches all the way down your paper. And then you would cut it at 3 inches. I'll go with this piece because it's going to show you. Okay, here is Zelda finally joining us tonight. She is trying to get the scraps of my ribbon. You know what, hon? Nobody wants to see you right now, Zelda. Yeah, no one. Okay. Let me go back to, it was this example that I was using, I think. So anyhow, you'd cut in at 2 3/4 all the way through on that piece of paper, and then you'd cut at the 3-inch mark here on that half, and this one you're cutting at the 2-inch mark. And again, keeping all 4 pieces stacked together, that gives you these 4 different shapes, and then you just kind of shuffle them around so that you have 4 different combinations, and then just play a little bit with your layouts. Like I said, both portrait and landscape will work with this layout. You could change up sentiments and have a bunch of different cards. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me tonight. I hope that you like this layout and that you'll give it a try. If you do, please be sure to post it down below in the comments. And if you know anybody who'd like to see this video, please share with them. My goal is to simply spread joy 1 card at a time. And part of the way I can spread that joy is helping people find their own creativity along the way. There's nothing like better than seeing somebody's face light up because they have been able to create a card and they realize that they are creative. So take care, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you next Monday for Make It Monday. Bye-bye.